Wilkie will be there, and so I told her, I said, oops. So that's why you still got the phone.
That's all right.
I changed the blades on the mower.
Because I was like, oh, I have all mine for planning commission, I don't have to call anybody. Well, then Davies comes in, and I'm like,
I got 10.
so I went back and looked.
I got 10.
I couldn't shoot through it now with the mower.
I started asking Judy about planning commission stuff. She's like, that's not the right agenda. You know? I said, I don't know. I said, I read it. I don't know where. I read so many things on the computers. Like, I don't know where I read it. Whether it's just news or. I was asking her about cell tower. But that's not the
Oops,
right.
I'm not laughing.
It's always good for a good long. At least this cell tower's not in the middle of houses.
Yeah. And I see the one out at the Wild West Arena is up.
No, is it?
Yep.
Paul, did you used to be in the fire department?
Yes,
What was you there?
I was there for right at 41 years, and
I thought he was chief of police.
I've been retired for 8, a little over 8 now. I must be having fun because it seems like yesterday, you know.
Again, I just want to warn everybody, we're all on YouTube. So this is being live streamed if anybody's watching.
The good thing is, nobody really knows it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're good.
For sure.
But
I should say something here.
two of the same thing.
Oh, no, proposing 33. It shouldn't be, okay. Seems like forever since you've been here.
Yeah.
No. It's a pizza. Is it Pizza Ranch? Judy, what's that restaurant in Omaha that has that, all the pizzas? Is it Pizza Ranch?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Yeah, something like that would be good in that place. Or Spaghetti Works at Kearney, that needs to come down.
Or Wheatfields in Omaha. Bakery and like a bohemian cafe. I mean,
Really?
the bakery stuff is, oh my God.
Not fair.
And you can buy a whole bunch of it and take it home.
Freeze it and have it all year.
You talk about,
Wheatfields.
I was gonna say the pizza place in Kearney that used to be that Perry's kid, owns that? Ross Perry's kid?
Think you're good.
Oh, really?
But you can buy the bread,
8:30.
take home.
So I call the meeting to order. They call the meeting to order. We have roll call.
Peterson,
Present.
Patterson,
Here.
Franzen,
Here.
Wilkie,
Yeah, here.
and McGann.
Here.
Okay, a quorum is present. I need to read that.
A current copy of Open Meetings Act of Nebraska is posted adjacent to the door at the back of the council chambers. We approve the minutes of the last meeting.
So move.
Second.
Approved.
Need to roll call.
Roll call, then we'll approve it.
Peterson,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Franzen,
Yes.
Wilkie,
Yes.
and McGann.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved.
Public hearing file number BA 21-001 to discuss and consider the action of an application by Terry and Nancy McNew for a variance to the North Platte City Code of Ordinances, Section 156.1442C, side yard setback, the minimum side yard setback for all corner lots adjoining a side street shall be 25 feet. The applicant is proposing 2-foot side yard setback. The property is located in an R4 dwelling district located at 1620 North Dodge Avenue and is described as Lot 7, Kessler Subdivision, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Okay, and you should have all received a copy of the review comments. Attached to that is a location map, and then a site plan, and then there are some pictures attached that were provided by the applicant. This is an R4 dwelling district. City code requires a 25-foot side yard setback on corner lots adjoining the side street. The project has already been completed, and as it sits is non-compliant with current city zoning regulations. There are two possible options to bring the property into compliance: demolish the recently constructed covered deck or request and be approved for a variance to city regulations. Dave Hahn, city building inspector, states that with the gravel road, it does not appear that allowing the variance would cause any issues. The construction does not conflict with clear vision. However, if the variance is approved, he is requesting a stipulation be placed on the property stating that the patio never be enclosed in any way. Planning staff suggests that the Board of Adjustment, if the Board of Adjustment grants the variance, to put a condition in the motion that the patio is to remain open and never be enclosed in the future. The applicant is here if you have any questions. And again, this property is built, so that's where we're at.
Comments from the audience? Questions?
The one thing I do want to point out with this, even though the home is facing the east, the front yard is that Dodge Court, which makes the setback larger on the front yard. And then the side yard, since it does abut a street, has a larger setback. As it sets, if you did drive by there, what Dave Hahn said, as far as clear vision, it's pretty tough to see where the property line is, where the city right-of-way is, because of the roads that are out there. They're gravel. Probably not opened as wide as, they could be because of the right-of-way.
It looks like it's quite a ways back off of the road, but suppose in the future there would be a paving district and
Yeah,
curb and gutter and then all of that.
yeah, then it could be pretty close at that point if that were to happen in the future. Yep.
Discussion?
Move to close the public hearing.
Okay,
Close the public hearing.
Need a second.
Second.
We need a vote.
okay. Now we need a vote to close the public hearing. Patterson,
Yes.
Franzen,
Yes.
Wilkie,
Yes,
McGann.
Yes.
And Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, the public hearing is closed. You can still discuss amongst yourselves. If you have any other questions, I'll try to answer. Yes, ma'am.
Of course I have a question. Being new to this board, how do you handle things that have already been done that weren't right? And I assume that some of those come before this board, and around town, the thought is, well, just do it and then ask for permission. And I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the fact that if they do pave that street down the road, we'd have another instance of, okay, we have a Dixie Avenue that has all this stuff encroaching on the street. Those are my concerns.
Yeah, I think education is a big thing, because what happened here, and I'll kind of tell you the situation a little bit, that patio, the concrete was already poured for that patio. And the concrete, we don't have regulations other than you have to stay out of, city right-of-way. But you can concrete your patio up to city right-of-way without getting a permit. So in this instance, the patio was built. The property owner wanted to enclose it, and nobody thought to come in and say, hey, how far out can I build it? They just covered the patio that was already existing. So I think it's huge in educating the contractor, property owners, that, look, just because you have a patio, a concrete pad, does not necessarily mean that you're allowed to build up right there, because clear vision's a big thing. And again, in this instance, they're set back far enough to where it doesn't impede the clear vision, so there's a little bit of leniency there that you can do. But yeah, when it comes to getting a permit and forcing people to get a permit, and I mean, we run into that all the time. We really do.
We ran into it on Sixth Street.
Yes. We
It's-
closed the public hearing, so we can't
Sorry.
ask for comments.
So, do you have a motion?
I have I have another question, when you're talking about the history of it. I guess I didn't realize you could just pave anything that you wanted to and go out as far as you wanted to.
There's not a setback for just a pad, other than you can't be in the city right away. So a concrete pad, you can go up to property line. Once you hit your property line, that is then city right away. So at that point, then you have to get a permit to, build your driveway for accessing from the street to the patio. Say it's a concrete pad leading into a garage. You can build your concrete pad to
So there's
your
no,
property line, but then
so
you
there's
have to
no
get a permit.
permit required for doing whatever paving you want to pave.
Pretty
Is that
much.
what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. I
Does that
suppose.
seem realistic? In a city,
You know
aren't we supposed to be a class one
Yeah.
city?
Yeah. We have never, dictated, there's no ordinance dictating the amount of concrete that you can put on there. Now, when you're in a commercial district, you're required to have a certain amount of landscaping, certain amount of parking, that sort of thing. So that's where you get people not doing that. But own personal residence, as far as concrete, I mean, I guess you could probably pave the whole thing if you wanted to.
Pave your whole lot.
You just can't go up. And maybe that needs to be changed. I mean, I enforce the rules. I don't necessarily make them.
So what committee would review such an idea?
That's why you have a planning commission representative on this board. And so planning commission would be the individuals that would do that.
Well, I think to her point, I was in the planning commission for a while, and, it is nice to know remedies. I mean, this is an attractive property, and we want people to improve their property. But at the same point in time, if we're gonna have a rule, it's like it seems like there should be something in the middle between tearing it down and, not. I mean, we've had things that we've told them to move it, and we can't, and so it seems like, to me, it goes back to the council that needs to have some remedies or some, rule for you to follow or whatever, just like John was talking about for the cement. It's like, well, maybe we should have a rule about that, but at the same time, when you have something like this, it's an attractive addition, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's,
You ask people to
Let's not
fix
say-
up and then you tell them no.
yeah, that's not a city right away. I mean, I couldn't ask somebody to tear it down in my mind, but it's like, same time, it's like, well, if we have this rule, we ought to have something in between tearing down and nothing.
And we do have, not getting a permit, not doing it appropriately. We have some, double the permit fees, those types of things. But it's nothing that's extreme. But we have doubled the permit fee, and I think in several instances, we have done that when they don't get a permit.
Maryland does make a good point, though. I mean, do we send the message, it's okay just to go ahead and build and then come in here and we'll just rubber stamp it anyway? That doesn't give you any chance to intervene or make sure that things are done properly. And so we've kind of run into the same thing with the signs.
Yep.
That's kind of they throw up what they want, and then we come in and they come in and it gets okayed. But is there any concern from the neighbors?
No, I
That we
didn't,
know of?
no, I didn't receive, I did receive one phone call. They were concerned that they were going to do something in addition to what they've already got. And they said they'd have no problem with what they have right now. They just didn't want to see it increased.
Okay, well, I'd like to go with Dave's recommendation.
Okay?
I don't
And-
know how to word that, or,
Yeah, and I think that's, it's already in that motion. If you look at the motion, I did put it in there.
can I
let's see.
make that, can I just make that motion?
Yep, you can just read the
See if I
motion.
get a
No,
second.
you have to read the entire
to
thing.
read
Yep,
Oh, I
you
have
have to
to-
read
oh, I
the
have to
entire
read it?
thing. Yep,
Is the one down at the bottom here?
yep, it starts there and then you have to read on to the next page. You have to read that
Okay.
whole entire paragraph.
I move that we find that the application to the City of North Platte, City Code of Ordinances, Section 156.1442C, side yard setback, the minimum side yard setback for all corner lots adjoining a side street shall be 25 feet to allow a 2-foot side yard setback, that the condition, with the condition that the covered deck will never be enclosed in any way, be approved and granted forthwith, because I don't know which one applies here. The strict application of any enacted regulation would result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties to, or exceptional and undue hardship upon the owner of such property. And such relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially impairing the intent of and purpose of any ordinance or resolution, and the applicant does conform with the following 5 findings necessary for the board to grant the variance. The strict application of the zoning regulation would produce undue hardship. Such hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same zoning district in the same vicinity. The authorization of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property, and the character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance. The granting of such variance is based upon reason of demonstrable and exceptional hardship as distinguished from the variance for purposes of convenience, profit, or caprice. The board finds that the condition or situation of the property concerned or the intended use of the property is not of so general or recurring nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation to be adopted as an amendment to the zoning regulation.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay,
Roll call.
roll call. Franzen,
Yes.
Wilkie,
Yes.
McGann.
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
and Patterson.
Yes,
Okay, motion carries. Just be sure to remember that that patio should never be enclosed in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're on to agenda item, for a public hearing for application number BA 21-002. Discuss and consider action on an application by Jana
You
Ryan
need to stay.
for a variance to the North Platte City Code of Ordinances, Section 156.44D to A, front yard setback. The front yard setback shall be 40 feet or in direct conformity with the majority of similar buildings on the same block. The property is located in an A1 Transitional Agricultural District located at 3191 North Studley Road and is described as Tract A in Rosedale Ranch, Inc., subdivision of the west half of the northwest quarter of the Section 26 Township 14 North, range 30 west of the 6th PM, Lincoln County, Nebraska.
Okay, and again, you should have all received a copy of the review comments, a site plan, a location map, and then kind of an overall Google Earth view of the property. In an A1 transitional agricultural district, city code requires a 40-foot front yard setback. The proposed project is to construct a 130 by 130 addition to the current structure. There is a 40-foot right-of-way on the north side of the property, and the proposed building would be 33 feet south of the right-of-way, essentially meaning the building would be 73 feet back from the paved portion of Hall School Road. The variance has been submitted in conjunction with a request for an amendment to a conditional use to allow a dance school in an A1 transitional agricultural district. If the variance is approved, the Planning Commission will hear the request at their meeting scheduled for this evening, May 25th at 5:30 p.m. Planning staff has no objections to the application. The proposed construction should not cause any adverse effects to the area since there will still be a fairly large setback from Hall School Road. There is one comment that I do want to make that we should probably, if you would like, put in the motion. I got this kind of late last night or late yesterday afternoon from Carla Odell, the Lincoln County Highway Superintendent. She stated that the trees need to be removed on the north side of the property, and I think there may be one on the east side of the property that are along the road. Some of those trees are in the county right-of-way, and they will remove them. The other trees are on the actual owner's property, and those need to be removed. The reason being, she said, if you drive out there and you're coming north off of Studley Road and you go to turn on Hall School Road, if they add that building and the trees are still there, you're not going to be able to see around to, and you're going to have, it's out in the county, sort of. I mean, it's in the city's 2-mile jurisdiction, but it's still out in the county, so you have a lot of grain trucks and semis and things like that go by, and they're not going to be able to see around that corner. Carla felt that if those trees would come down, that would increase the visibility around the end of the building. I already talked with PJ Hamilton is the contractor proposing to do the building, and he said no problem, they'll take down the trees. But that is something I'm sure if you think about it a little bit, that you may want to consider putting that in your motion. And it is a public hearing,
Yeah,
so.
anyone from the audience need to speak?
Yeah,
Please state your name and
my name's Philip
address.
Hamilton, I live at 818 Reed Avenue. The proposal on that, we're gonna tear the trees down regardless because we don't want that trees to fall into that building at any point. That building's gonna be so close to those trees that we will take them out. I'll put that in writing, whatever you guys want me to do, but she's trying to expand the facility to accommodate more kids. They're gonna put a trampoline park in there. They're gonna put I think a little coffee shop in there for the parents that go out there to watch their kids. And they're gonna put a new rock wall climbing facility inside there. In order to put everything in there that we need, originally we were gonna put a 125 by 130. It just will not accommodate everything she needs. So we need that extra 5 feet to come. It's only 635 or 625 feet. So we need that extra 5 feet just to make the building a square for her. The building will be 24 foot tall. It will be the same size as the building to the south, but we're just gonna go bigger and attach the building to the pre-existing building.
Any questions?
Is there, pardon me, is there other things that will have to be built to accommodate this? I mean, is this the end of it, or?
This
will
is
there
all
be-
she's got left.
Will there be additional,
No more buildings being added to the old school, no.
There isn't room, is there, for much of anything else?
Parking lot
Yeah.
it'd be on the east side. So she's taking the parking lot away from, well, she's got pre-existing parking lot in front of the old school, but we'd have a parking behind in her lot back there. But she's gonna have to bring that up because it's in the floodplain, I think.
Any other questions? Thank you.
But
Peeper, 720 East Fourth, have a HD management company, and I manage the property for the Rosedales and the Kimballs. So they surround all of this property. Have no objection to the building other than the site. If that stake out there is a site, I just want to make sure, because those trees are terrible to get onto Hall Road, and we haul a lot of hay, and actually her patrons, it's a danger if those trees, I think, need to be removed, and there needs to be something in there that says they can't let trees grow back either. The other concern is the parking lot. I hope that's done at the same time. It's not the dance halls. I mean, I don't think they promote it, but cars park on both sides of the county road. Oftentimes, it's very tough to get trucks down through there, even cars or trailers. And there's a danger of the kids running across the road. You know how kids are coming out. So I hope if they do this expansion, that there's adequate room for whatever the parking is required for that many patrons. I hope that's studied. And then the biggest concern is that visibility going on to Hall School. If that blocks that, I don't know why there is a 40-foot setback, what the reasons are, but the variance is going to block that view coming down Hall. They do come to a stop sign, so, I mean, you have to stop and look. The trees make it very hard to see down to the east on Hall School Road. If the trees are removed, I think that would be a vast improvement, and never allowed to have trees there, so, or overgrowth. But as far as the 30-foot or 33-foot, if the engineers think that's good enough for a line of sight, I'm not going to question that. But I know with the trees there now, it is not. So it's a safety hazard. So, and the parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? I close the public hearing.
Second?
She doesn't usually make the motion, so you have to be first.
I'll move to.
Oh,
I'll
sorry.
second.
Okay. Okay, and this is a roll call to close the public hearing. Wilkie?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes.
And Franzen?
Yes.
Okay, public hearing is closed.
What, in a transitional ag, there is no parking requirement based on square foot of structure?
No, there is. They still have to meet, since this is a conditional use and it's more of a commercial venture, they will have to meet city code when it comes to number of parking stalls. So when they bring their building permit in, we will base the required amount of stalls on site to make sure that there's adequate room. Now, the thing about the people parking on the road that's very, very hard to control, Carla, Lincoln County Road Superintendent, did tell me in a phone conversation that she would be more than willing to put no parking signs out there. Now, policing that, you know, is not her bailiwick, but she would be okay with putting no parking signs out there, which would maybe deter a few people from parking on the road. But they will be required to have parking on site.
Are we kind of putting something before what we should already have? Like doing this permit before we even have the parking?
No, because they have to be approved for the variance to the setbacks before it goes to planning commission. Because planning commission can't approve a variance to setbacks.
Okay.
Does
You
the
seem like
sheriff's
a room.
office control that on the,
Yes, the sheriff's office would control the no parking. Yep.
Based on the square feet of the entirety, what kind of parking are you thinking?
Let me look at your book and see if there's parking in there, because I can tell you.
We're getting a big enough building, it'll be a,
Yeah, and we're gonna
Big
have to go
number.
back, when they attach that building to the other building, we have to take the entire square footage of the
Right.
whole entire thing, which is quite a bit there. Let's see what it says in here. And we're gonna have to go back and look. I think all of it is open area. So most of it will go under, because we'll do it with, like if there's an office, that'll be a different parking requirement. And the open area for gymnasiums or whatever will be a different parking requirement.
The gym part becomes a different parking?
Yeah, because it's a different occupancy.
Okay.
So you can get more people in like an auditorium or a gymnasium than you can if
Okay,
it's
so
like
it
an office
increases.
setting. It increases
Okay,
it,
because
yeah.
I got paranoid.
One parking space for each 5 seats if you have seats. If there's no seats, then it's 1 space for each 50 square foot of the main assembly area. So if that's the main assembly area, it's gonna be 1 parking stall for each 50 square feet. The part that is actually office space or classroom space is a little bit different. So, office space runs about 1 parking stall per every 300 square feet. But the main auditorium is gonna have that 1 space for each 50 square feet.
So it's 450 spaces for the addition. And there's the one that they're tying it to, you have to include that as well.
Yes. And like I said, we have to go back and look at the use of each portion of it. So if there's a large portion that's just classrooms, that's gonna be a little bit different.
Like a
Yeah,
classroom.
yeah.
So
But they
possible
do,
they'd be in here for another variance for parking places.
I don't think so. They have a very,
they have
they have a
enough
very
room?
large lot. There's no
Right.
reason, if you just look at that site plan that they have, there's no reason they can't fill that back area with parking. And it's not required to be concrete. They can put gravel, with some parking markers out there. But yes, they will be required to have parking stalls.
But
And they've already got quite a few out front.
Okay, so if it's 150 by 150,
It's 130 by 130.
okay, 130, whoops, 130 by 130. $16,900 square feet, you have 50, so they have to have 338 spaces for the new building. Plus, they're gonna have 600, 600 parking spaces required,
Probably not quite, because these other buildings won't have quite as large a capacity as that one.
okay?
They've already got, it looks like 35 parking stalls in the front. They should have probably had to have increased that, but at the time, they didn't add anything to it. They were just taking over. So yeah, they'll have to increase their parking by quite a bit. They'll have to have a large parking lot.
I think the no parking signs on the road's a good idea, like Kurt said, there's like, that would be good. It's
Dangerous, yeah.
gonna be tough to enforce, but a lot of people will comply.
Yeah, it'll deter a few people.
And the tree issue really
Yeah.
should be addressed
Yeah.
too.
Agreed.
So is that gonna be a part of the motion? That, that seems awkward to put,
Before the other.
Get rid of the trees in the motion.
Or the parking.
I think you're gonna have to put it in the motion just to make sure that we have it documented.
But not the parking, because they haven't.
You can put that parking has to meet all city
Says
requirements if you want to say that. But I mean, that's a given, because they have to
Have
meet
to.
city requirements in order for us to sign off.
It just seems weird that we're doing the building before the parking.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad we're getting a chance to react to this before it's built, though.
exactly. Exactly.
I learned my lesson.
So basically, your motion, if you're wanting to get everything in there, I move that we find the application to the North Platte City Code of Ordinances, section 156-044 D2A, front yard setback. The front yard setback shall be 40 feet or in direct conformity with the majority of similar buildings on the same block to allow a 33-foot front yard setback be approved and granted, with the addition that the trees that are on the property be removed on both the north side and the east side of the property. And that the new construction meets all city, county, state zoning and building requirements within let's see, with special notice taken to parking.
Well, you
Continue
know,
on.
when they have these grandma and grandpa celebrations where, you know,
Yep.
Watching the kids.
everybody has to go out and see the girls dance. The idea of parking on the other side of the road and having kids walk across the road, you know, that's a really spooky thought, I think. You know, we kind of had the same thing over by Centennial Park in the city where people were parking on the north side. They let the kids out and the kids would run across the road in front of everybody. And so I think it's, probably not our job necessarily, but I think if the planning commission was on top of it, they would really look at that. I'll make the motion. I'll try to read all that.
Did you want something about not being able to have the trees grow back?
Yeah, you wanna add that too.
Mention that property owner maintain that.
We'll help you through it.
I move that we find the applicant to the city, North Platte City Code of Ordinances, section 156.044, D2, paragraph A, front yard setback. The front yard setback shall be 40 feet or in direct conformity with the majority of similar buildings in the same block to allow a 33-foot front yard setback be approved and granted forthwith, including the prohibited use of trees or other types of growth that would prohibit the sight line to the road. And granted forthwith because the strict application of any enacted regulation would result in peculiar and exceptional practicability, difficulties to, or exceptional and undue hardship on the owner of such property. And as such relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially impairing the intent and purpose of any ordinance or resolution, and the applicant does conform with the following 5 findings necessary for the board to grant the variance. Strict application of the zoning regulation would produce undue hardship. Such hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same zoning district in the same vicinity. The authorization, do I
Question
need to?
about the parking?
Go ahead with that
I'm-
one, because I'll second it that way and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The authorization of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent properties, and the character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance. The granting of such variance is based upon reason of demonstrable and exceptional hardship as distinguished from variance for purposes of convenience, profit, or caprice. The board finds that the condition or situation of the property concerning or the intended use of the property is not of so general or reoccurring nature as to make reasonably practicably the formulation of a general regulations to be adopted as an amendment to the zoning regulations.
And I will second that motion. One of the things, and because we're open for discussion now, one of the things that I like the way you've worded that is we expect whoever approves a building permit to follow all the codes. So if we particularly point out parking, then what about the fact that they put a chimney that doesn't meet regulations, or this that doesn't meet regulations, or that doesn't meet regulations? So I think we should allow our city officials to do their job following the ordinances that are there, the requirements that are there, and that type of thing. So that's my comment
We don't
on
get
it.
involved in that.
We don't get involved in that unless we see that, oh, they're letting this thing go by all the time. They're letting people grow marijuana in the backyard and it's okay, or whatever it happens to be. But I don't think that's our job to point out specific things that have to be followed. I think they should be following all the codes for a building and site. So there.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
You can disagree.
Well, no, I wasn't disagreeing, but so then with the tree thing, that's okay to specifically put that in. I'm just trying to understand.
We don't have a code that
Says
says you
anything
have to
about
take out
site.
trees. Well, we do have a site, if they're in a corner,
Right,
then we do have regulations regarding clear vision.
Visibility.
Yeah, but in this instance, they're back out of that
okay,
25-foot triangle area,
Okay.
but they're still causing apparently a little bit of a impediment to
other-
vision, so that portion is not in city code.
okay. Because I thought there was something about,
Clear vision,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay. And we have a second, we have a roll call.
Ready? McGann,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Franzen,
Yes,
and Wilkie.
Yes.
And again, PJ, just so the applicant knows, the County Department of Roads has went out and marked their trees. So the ones that are their trees, they will take out. The other ones are your responsibility. And Carla has stated that that needs to be done prior to starting the building,
I understand.
so. Plus, you still have to get a building permit, but.
Yeah. I
No, doing it and then asking permission.
Exactly.
apologize for that.
is there any further business, we're looking.
Old business.
Old business. New business? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Peterson,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Franzen,
Yes.
Wilkie,
Yes.
and McGann.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank y'all.
I invite you all to tune in tonight to the Planning Commission meeting where we will be discussing one of them, right? Isn't it one of the things?
Yep, this last one that we just
Right.
did, we'll be discussing that